The #1 gardening hack on YouTube fails 90% of the time. Why? Because most videos skip the exact measurements. Today, 12 of my grandmother's garden tricks that modern science actually confirmed. Exact dosage, actual studies, and a non-negotiable pet safety check. We started with 25. We cut 13 that failed the science test. And trick #1? It replaces a $15 product and costs $0. Let's get started. Here is how we built this list. We started with 25 tricks. We ran every single one through 4 quality gates. At least one government or peer-reviewed source with real numbers. Cost savings over 50% versus the store-bought version. Beginner-friendly with no special equipment, and safe for pets, kids, and most medications. Only 12 made the cut. Number 12, the beer slug trap. A 2-year field study published in MDPI captured 5,034 slugs using shallow dishes of beer. Here is what most videos miss. It is not the alcohol. It is the volatile compounds in the fermentation. A lager attracted 64 times more slugs than plain water in a UK-wide experiment. One rule: place the trap at the edge of your beds, not between your plants, or you will draw more in from outside. Number 11. Insecticidal soap spray. UC Cooperative Extension tested it against azalea lacebugs. 80 to 86% reduction. Here is why it works. Soap breaks the waxy coat of soft-bodied insects, causing them to dehydrate. The key word is soft-bodied. Aphids, whiteflies, mealybugs? Yes. Beetles and caterpillars? No. Spray at dusk. Bees are back in the hive. The soap dries within an hour, and your garden is safe by morning. But always keep the bottle itself out of reach of your grandkids and pets. Number 10. Banana and orange peel water. A meta-review of 126 studies from the University of Mpumalanga found the liquid form outperforms powder, and the combination of banana plus orange increases both leaf area and root growth better than either peel alone. Drop the peels in a jug of water, wait 24 to 48 hours, water your plants at the base. $0 from kitchen waste. Quick note: if you love saving money without working harder, I share a new lazy garden secret every week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Number 9. Marigolds. The roots of Tagetes species release a compound called alpha-terthioenol that causes oxidative stress in root knot nematodes, microscopic worms that destroy plant roots underground. $3 for a seed packet versus $40 for a chemical nematicide. Plant them as a border or interplant through your vegetable beds. Your neighbor Marcus will start asking why your tomatoes never get sick. Number 8. Cinnamon as a rooting agent. Research shows 92.3% survival for cuttings dipped in cinnamon powder versus 94.7% for commercial IBA rooting gel. Almost identical. The cost? 45 cents per ounce for cinnamon versus $18.19 for Clonex. A 97% saving from your spice rack. But here is the thing. Trick number 5 gives you a rooting hormone that is 100% free, and it grows wild. Stay with me. Your kitchen trash and your garden weeds are a free pest control and propagation kit. That is the lesson from the quick wins. Now, the next group needs a bit more science to explain why it works. And one of them is genuinely controversial. But once you understand the mechanism, it makes complete sense. Number 7. Milk spray for powdery mildew. I know what you are thinking. University of Adelaide and researcher Olla tested a 10 to 40% milk solution against the standard fungicide Vinegar. The milk was shown to reduce powdery mildew by up to 90% in this trial, performing similarly to the chemical. Here is why it works. Milk contains lactoferrin, and when it dries on the leaf under sunlight, it generates free radicals that kill the fungal spores. Mix 1 part milk to 9 parts water. Spray weekly. Generally considered safe around kids, dogs, and pollinators once the spray dries on the leaves. Number 6. Stored urine as fertilizer. Stay with me for 30 seconds. The World Health Organization 2006 guidelines found that one person's annual output is enough to fertilize 300 to 400 square meters of crops, 50 to 100 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare. Store for 2 to 6 months. Dilute 1 to 8 in water. Apply at the base, not on leaves. Now, the non-negotiable. If you are on antibiotics, chemotherapy, or strong medications, skip this one for edible gardens. Pharmaceutical residues do not fully break down during storage. For ornamentals, fine. For your vegetable patch, medication check first. Part 2, number 5, and this is the one I promised you at number 8. Willow water. Cut a handful of willow twigs, any willow species, crush them slightly, soak in water for 24 hours. Willow naturally contains 2 rooting compounds: indole 3-butyric acid, the same active ingredient in commercial rooting gels, and salicylic acid, which primes the cutting against disease. Studies show 90% rooting success versus 60% with plain water. Cost: $0. Willow grows wild across most of the US and UK. That is the free rooting hormone I promised you. Number 4. Sheet mulching. Lay cardboard directly over your soil. No digging, no herbicides. It suppresses 80 to 90% of weeds, smothers them, then breaks down and feeds your soil. Charles Dowding's No-Dig trials showed 20% more soil carbon after 5 years and 30 to 50% less weeding time. One concern I hear is the ink safe? Grab a pen, write this down. Post-1990 newspaper ink is soy-based, less than 5 parts per million of lead, EPA approved. Avoid glossy pages, plain cardboard, old newspapers, Amazon boxes. Your neighbour Linda pulls weeds every Saturday. You laid cardboard in March, 0 weeds since. The answer was in her recycling bin the whole time. Quick question. Are you team sheet mulching or team traditional weeding? Let me know down in the comments. Nature already made the products. You just need the right recipe. Now we get to the top 3, and I have saved the best for last. We start with a watering system that is 4,000 years old and still outperforms anything at your garden centre. Do not skip this one. Number 3. The Olla. An unglazed clay pot buried in your garden with just the neck above the soil. You fill it once a week. The clay is porous. Water seeps directly to the root zone, exactly where plants need it, with no evaporation and no runoff. University of New Mexico and University of Arizona research shows 60 to 70% water savings compared to surface irrigation. The system is 4,000 years old, used in China, the Middle East, and South America. DIY version. 2 terracotta pots sealed at the drain hole, roughly $5. A drip system costs $100. The laziest watering system on earth, fill it once a week and forget it. Number 2. Vinegar weed killer. And this is where most videos get it wrong. Grocery store vinegar is 5% acetic acid. The USDA Agricultural Research Service tested this in 2002. At 5%, you kill young weeds in roughly 2 weeks. At 20%, you get between 85 and 100% kill on established weeds in 2 hours. Completely different products. You need horticultural vinegar at 20%, available at garden centres and online. Before we go further, this is non-negotiable. High concentration vinegar is not kitchen vinegar. It can cause skin burns and serious eye injury. Always wear chemical-resistant gloves and safety goggles. Keep kids and pets out of the treated area for 24 hours. Done safely, it is a powerful alternative to synthetic herbicides on paths, driveways, and gravel. But trick number 1, this is the one that changed how I think about my entire garden. Number 1. Comfrey tea. My grandmother grew a patch of comfrey at the back of her garden for as long as I can remember. She cut the leaves, dropped them in a bucket of water, left it for 2 weeks, and used the dark liquid to feed everything she grew. She had no idea there was a university studying it. The Royal Horticultural Society and Garden Organic later tested the Bocking 14 cultivar. NPK values of 1.80, 0.50, and 7.09. That potassium level, 7.09, is 3 times higher than farmyard manure. Dilute 1 part comfrey liquid to 10 parts water. Apply every 2 weeks during the growing season. Cost: $0 every single year, from 1 plant you put in the ground once. Your neighbour pays $15 a gallon for tomato feed. You walk outside, cut 5 leaves, drop them in a bucket, and wait. She will ask what you are using. My grandmother was right. She just did not have the paper to prove it. Quick honourable mention: neem oil. It works. It disrupts the life cycle of over 200 insect species. But it did not make our list for one reason. According to the Veterinary Poisons Information Service in London, neem oil is toxic to cats if ingested or absorbed through the skin. If you have cats in your garden, skip it. If you do not, it is a strong option. I wanted to be straight with you on that one. Here is the cost comparison for the top tricks. Comfrey tea, $0 versus $15 a gallon. Willow water, $0 versus $18 for rooting gel. Sheet mulching, $0 versus 24 cents per square foot. Marigold seeds, $3 versus $40 for nematicide. Vinegar at 20%, roughly $8 a litre versus $25 for Roundup. The cheapest solutions are not shortcuts. They are the original science. So, those are the 12. But before you go, there is one thing you can do right now that costs nothing. 12 tricks, every single one backed by a peer-reviewed study or government source. USDA, WHO, Royal Horticultural Society, 6 universities. Safety first. Wear PPE for the vinegar. Run a medication check before using stored urine in your vegetable garden, and skip the buried plastic bottle trick. Microplastics in your soil are not worth it. 3 of these you can start today for $0. Grab cardboard from your recycling and lay it over your worst weed patch. Soak banana and orange peels in water for 48 hours and use it to water your plants. Dip a cutting in cinnamon before you plant it. 30 minutes, $0. That is your lazy garden starting today. Drop your grandmother's best gardening trick in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you know someone who has been struggling with weeds or spending money on products that may not be working at the right concentration, share this video with them. It might save them a trip to the garden centre. Because the smartest gardeners are not the ones who work the hardest. They are the ones who let science and nature do the heavy lifting. And if you want to know which crops thrive on absolute zero attention, click the video on your screen right now. Less work, more harvest. Happy gardening.